What's good, y'all? Quick video about my astral travel I went on the other night. This was a few nights ago. The sirens kept coming up and they kept speaking to me. I figured that I had a deep connection with these sirens, and I realized that they were deep sea sirens, which is really cool. They're very powerful warrior-like beings, and I had no idea that I had such a deep connection with them, because once I did start interacting with them, I was like, oh my god, this is family, and they considered me family. So I found it very interesting, the connection there. And I was just learning a lot about them and getting to understand them. And then the one night I was like, you know what, I'm basically gonna go and visit y'all. I would love to go and see y'all. Now let me tell you, a lot of their area, their territory is around the California coast. We're talking Sacramento, San Francisco, all the way down to like San Diego area. That's all like, that's siren territory. And so, and a lot of the merfolk aren't necessarily there as much, but the sirens are there. And they're like, this is our territory. Well, we don't, of course, they can't make themselves known. A lot of them do not like humans because of how they treated them, and the merfolk especially. They feel like the merfolk were too trusting of the humans, and then they got themselves in that predicament that happened. Which, if you guys basically seen in movies, they would like take them and they would do it. You know how humans could be, like take them and do horrible things with them and to them. It was just madness what these people do. These pirates, especially in the Caribbean, horrible. And in the Mediterranean, yeah. So after that, a lot of the merfolk were like, yeah, we're going underground. And the sirens, they're very warrior-like. That's why a lot of people know them for like for their songs and killing people, because they're like very spiteful to humans. They're like, a lot of them are like, if I see a human, they're dead. The others, it's like 20% of them, they're like, no, we can't do that. Like, they are just like us. We're just like them. This is our planet just as it's their planet. And we need to understand each other, unify. And what they kept telling me was that they're going to come out during the time of disclosure as well. So there's going to be a time when disclosure happens for all extraterrestrials, they're going to come out as well. And let me show you something cool. So I asked them, I was like, hey, I wanted like a piece of jewelry to like remember y'all or something, right? And they're like, you already have one. And I didn't understand what this bracelet meant. For years I had this bracelet, and it always felt, when you look at it, right, it just looks like water being type things, right? And then they said, we've given you a sea dragon bracelet from a long time ago. And I was like, what are you talking about? And then they showed me this. I was like, oh, check this out. This is what it looks like. And it says here, from the sea we come, from the sea we shall rise. I was like, oh shit. Like, that's powerful joy. It's kind of not scary. It's just ominous, bro. Like, this is like, look at that. You can almost see it. From the sea we come, from the sea we shall rise. And it's like we're going to show people who we really are. They're going to get to understand who we truly are. So they invited me out, and they were like, soon you're going to come down and see what's up. I'm going to tell y'all what it looks like. But what happened first was they warned me that there's going to be low vibrational sirens, or sirens that don't have good intents. And they are going to essentially, like, they're going to try something. And I was just putting awareness of it, that they're there. So I was like, okay, thank you. Then I go into the astral, and I'm in astral school. And I'm learning a lot. It was actually really fascinating to learn stuff there. Then this person came. I knew they were a shapeshifter. And I'm in class. And they came up to me and they said, you have to come with me. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you want? And they kept like trying to get me. And they actually like took something of mine. I had some stuff on me, and they took some stuff off of me, and they like stole it, and they came back to get me. And so then after I was like, I was moving around the classroom trying to get away from them. And at one point I locked them in a room, and my guides were like, and they always do this. Like, they don't tell you what to do, but sometimes they like give you advice with the situation. They're like, you could go now, you could get out of here. So I locked them in the room and I ran. And I'm going throughout the school. It literally looks like a real school. And I'm going about the classrooms. And I would hide in a classroom that's teaching. And the teacher would know. The teacher's like, oh, you could go over here, right? It's like they know. And so then I go into one classroom and there's children. And the guy, like, I could hear him coming. He's like this big buff guy. And his teeth, they looked like slim and sharp. They looked like siren teeth. But I didn't think about that in the moment. I'm just like, they just looked like you could just tell that they were shapeshifted. So then after he shapeshifted into a different form, into a kid form. And I told the teacher, I was there and I was like, I'm hiding from him. And she's like, I know, I could smell the gun. And every classroom I would hide, the teacher would say this, like, I could smell the gun. And I still can't figure out what that fully means. I was like, what do you mean you could smell the gun? He kept shapeshifting, like he could shapeshift into a baby, an 8-year-old, and then an old man. So throughout the time he's chasing me, he's shapeshifting. And then at one point we get into the one classroom and I was like, you know what, I'm done. I'm done running. Obviously I can't. I can't like escape this. So I stopped and I was getting cheese. I was like, F this man. I stopped and I stood there and it was like he was afraid of me. He like stood there and realized I wasn't running no more. And the teacher was behind me too. And she was basically energetically, she's like, I can't do nothing. I'm just a teacher here. And so I stopped and she was like, yeah, I can smell the gun on him. And I was like, I looked at the guy and I said, what do you want? Like, what do you want from me? Why do you keep chasing me? And he's like, I can't tell you that, but you need to come with me. And I said, but I can't come with you unless you tell me what you want. Like, what do you want from me? And he said, I can't tell you that, but you need to come with me. He wanted me to come to the deep sea with him. Like, and they wanted me to talk to it's like they have for lack of a better word, they have a dark empire down there, just as they have a light one, right? A light one. Benevolent and malevolent sirens, just as the same thing with humans, as benevolent, malevolent ones. So these ones were malevolent and they wanted me to come with them to talk about something. And I was like, no, I can't do that. And he was getting mad, but he realized he can't do nothing. And then I hopped out of that astral travel. And after that, the siren was like, oh yeah, we told you they would try something. So after that, I actually went down into the deep ocean to speak with them. And these beings are really cool. The mer people live on the shallow part of the ocean, the shallow part, which even a lot of the shallow part is deep to us. And then there's like a line, there's literally like a barrier. They have a barrier where the mer people do not go. But the sirens are. So the sirens are at this territory and then the mer people are in this territory. And when you're going down, you see the mer people and the mer people are like, hey, right? And then you're like, oh, I'm going to go see the sirens. And then they're just like, oh, they're that way, right? And you go and see them. And when you go down, they have these empires that are like cave systems, but they're also built ones. They almost look like bubbles, but they're made out of like rock. And you go in them, you can live in them, and they have like split up families. So they have like kingdoms where there's a lot of people, but the families are kind of like this, like they like human families. They have children, but then they also have like it's like this independence. Like they have the children, and then at one point they leave. It's very warrior-like, very like we raise powerful people, strong, independent people. So that was really cool. And they always have these spears. Going down there, you're like, whoa, like as you're astral projecting down into the ocean, you're like, this is another universe. This is a whole nother world. So the difference between sirens and mermaids. Sirens are a lot more, if you want to say, warrior-like and aggressive. Very powerful beings. They live deep down, deep in the sea. Mer people live shallower, or what we would consider, what they would consider shallower, which also includes what we would consider kind of deep. And they usually live by coasts or like a lot of Caribbean areas, Caribbean, Mediterranean, African coast. That's where a lot of mermaids are. A lot of sirens are deeper in the ocean. Like they've gone way into the Atlantic. Especially the Atlantic and the Pacific, deep, like far away from where humans usually are. That's where they are commonly. Now, what happened in history was that the Sirens and the Mermaids, they did have their own wars way, way back. And that's why they have like a border now. They're like, we don't go past this area because that's where the Sirens are. So they're like, it's like family wars. It's like they realize that they're related, but they also have their boundaries and they had their wars. So they kind of made peace, if you want to say that. The reason they don't like humans is because how humans treated them, as you know. So there was a point in time when the mer people wanted to interact with humans. There was a lot of good humans and there was a lot of negative humans. A lot of negative humans. And at the end, they realized they got to stay away from them because there was a point in time actually when the mer people were like, let's fully mesh with them. And they tried it, but then the humans started doing like, men just doing a lot of horrible sexual acts to them. A lot of people even demonized them. And so then they realized that they go in the ocean. They lost a lot of people because of that. And the Sirens were always going like this because they were like, we told you not to trust damn humans. So they always shake their head. But even the Sirens way back before this, the Sirens tried to mesh with other humanoids. And it did work. They actually meshed with the Native Americans. So there was Native American civilization, especially in Mexico, who worked pretty close to them. But actually, let's stop there. Let's go through what people. So we're talking a lot of Mexicans. We're talking people from Peru and Ecuador and Brazil. A lot of them there. A lot of Sirens they've interacted with there. Oh, especially Central America. You know what's up. Back in history, I'm talking 1500s and stuff and way earlier. That's when the most interactions were happening with Sirens and mer people. If you want to interact with the mer people and the Sirens, you'll notice you're starting to get drawn to them and they're popping up around you. So like little things like, you just keep seeing mermaids and different symbolisms everywhere, or you keep seeing the word siren everywhere. You could easily be in contact with them if you make it open. You're just letting them know telepathically, like, I want to connect with you guys. And they know your intentions. They could feel your intentions. So a lot of times they'll call on you as they did with me. It's like they're calling on you and readying you for your interactions with them. And other times you have to call upon them and then you could have interactions. And it's almost like they wait and see who you are because they hear you, but it's about, are you ready and do they want to interact with you? Why you'd want to interact with them? Because they are very connected to the spirit of the ocean. And they have powerful telepathic and energetic abilities. They can heal really fast. Really fast. They are so connected to all ocean life. So when you connect with them, you feel connected to all ocean life. It's another world down there, man. A lot of times you'll notice you have shells, like you're drawn to get shells. Or like you have one shell that's almost like your phone. I have one of those. It's literally like a shell that I consider my phone. And a lot of clients I have that are connected to these people, they always have a shell. But it's not like they literally put up to their ear. It's just more telepathic. Like when you have the shell there and you put your hand on it or it's just beside you, you can feel the sirens clearer and you can almost hear them clearer. Whether that's if you're clairaudient, you're hearing them, or if it's like telepathic clairaudience, you're hearing them in your mind. If that's the case, but you will have a clear communication no matter what with the shell. That's all I will say about the Sirens and the Mer people right now. Of course, there's a lot more deep dive you could go into them, but that is for a general sense for people that are feeling drawn to these beings, or this is a subject that you're just interested in hearing about, but they are everywhere. And they backed up from a lot of the coastlines, of course, because of humans. And a lot of their territories, just like the coast of California, they backed up from. They're still in the Atlantic and the Pacific, just not an area where people could see them. And they're still in the Mediterranean, the coast of Africa, especially the West Coast. And they'll only make themselves known to people who are ready astrally and physically. A lot more astrally, but physically it will happen as well. Their empires are really cool. And their history, especially within themselves, it's amazing. But I hope that helps some of y'all with information related to sirens and mer people. And I'll see you soon. Peace out.